In my first 100 days, that's why I pledge that Uganda is going to go federalist. Bulira Frank Kabinga, I was groomed by the Uganda Young Democrats. I started my politics in Kasubi Church of Uganda Primary School way back during the CA times. I joined Uganda Young Democrats in the second generation after the Dr. Lurume's first generation of UID, the Mabikes. I was part of the second generation, and I was the spokesperson of the Uganda Young Democrats under the leadership of Susan Abo by then. Then I was the students leader for Uganda Young Democrats until I joined Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi. I joined Dr. Kiyingi purposely because I wanted to remove Mr. Museveni, period. I didn't want to overstay in the opposition. You all much well know that Dr. Aggrey Kiyingi was standing in the true path of changing this country. In fact, if Dr. Kiyingi or Dr. Besigye had been in this race, I wouldn't have contested, because they are the only two people who had solutions to changing this government, who were focused on removing Mr. Museveni and with realistic solutions. We have done enough politicking, and it is now time to remove Mr. Museveni. That is why I also argue my fellow candidates, fellow contestants, if they are really genuinely looking at removing Mr. Museveni first, to join me, and we remove Mr. Museveni. We shall sort other issues regarding parties and our aspirations after removing Mr. Museveni after 15th January. So I'm here, dear Ugandans, presenting myself as your next president come 2026. My campaign was derailed. As you know, Dr. Kiyingi, he was living miles away from Uganda, but he was the most feared man. Mr. Museveni feared Dr. Kiyingi more than opposition leaders sleeping in Kampala and Wakiso. You know that.
It's a debate, Mr. Frank Bulira. Your time is up, 4 minutes. But since you want to remove Mr. Museveni, then I ask that you move from your seat and come sit next to these two gentlemen, in between these two gentlemen who have also rightly said that they're doing the same thing. Please stand up and come and sit in between the general and the one who's promising a new Uganda.
Though I'm number one,
It is okay. We shall decide on 15th. Thank you very much. Each candidate being reminded you have 4 minutes for your introduction. And now we move to the second candidate, Candidate Joseph Mabirizi.
Good evening once again. My name is Elton Joseph Mabirizi Salongo from Conservative Party, the party which has outlived generations. In CP, we have the uniqueness that we stand for. Number one, it's about the governance, which requires fabrication to come up with something new which can fit in the generation we live in. We stand for regional governments, and when we talk about regional governments, many people will ask, what do you mean exactly? We have 16 regions of Uganda, and those 16 regions must have small governments where they share power with the central government. Uganda is thing where all authority belongs to one person, where security is just in central government, where taxes are collected and just go into a small group of people to govern that. So there is a great need to institute a regional governments to ease service delivery, at the same time creating a lot of jobs, which is a problem that we are facing today. But also working on the system of education that we are having in Uganda, which does not help parents, it doesn't help the graduates, the learners, it doesn't help even the government.
Our theme is fixing the economy and the money in our pockets. The current problem in Uganda is three-phased: corruption, that is greed, poverty, injustice. I have walked in the whole country. You discover poor mothers, poor fathers, who are selling tomatoes, oranges. They cannot even make enough to feed their families. Our children go to school. Out of 10 children who join primary school, only 2 reach P7. That means there's 80% dropout. You go to the health center, they will refer you, go out for medical attention, go and buy medicine, go for a scan, and those are the main things which bring us in this election. But what's the problem? We have been around for 40 years. We have been talking about peace, 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 and I don't think Ugandans can now eat peace because the peace is there. What we need is people to have jobs, and when they have jobs, they will earn a living. We look forward to investing in agriculture. We look forward to investing in education. We look forward to investing in health sector. We look forward to investing in infrastructure. I come with experience because I have studied all those. I come with experience in economy, in accounting, in taxation, in knowing poverty, how it's painful. I have worked. I'm fortunate you mentioned that only maybe you are, but I was in Ministry of Finance. I worked for World Bank, and we have advised many governments and have come out of poverty. So I am coming here with experience to help Uganda to move forward. I come as an employee. I want to be a servant to serve you with all my energy to ensure that people of Uganda can have the 3 meals which are designated in our lives. I am aware that we are 8 candidates, but each of us has his own manifesto. Our manifesto is very clear. It is spelling out what is supposed to be done. We want to create jobs. 60% of the youth are unemployed. 84 people live on 14 people. This is the danger, and this is the biggest insecurity we are having in our country. You get people are walking on the street from morning to evening, looking for what to do, what to eat, and this is causing a lot of problems in our country. In fact, the next time bomb is from the unemployment of the youth. Currently, our economy is structured in such a way that the service sector, which is contributing about 50%, is externalized. That's the telecom, that is the financial sector, and even the industrial part is belonging to the foreigners. Local Ugandans themselves, who live on agrarian economy, which contributes almost 80% of our livelihood, are only having a 23.8 GDP contribution, meaning that our people are living as slaves in their country. This is what we need to resolve, and it's urgent, and it needs somebody with experience in that area. In my life, I have been in Parliament for 25 years. I have been there advocating for, one, justice. I've been advocating for, because there's a lot of social injustice, I have been advocating for this issue to do with poverty alleviations. Every election, we see a different theme that they are doing. In 1996, they brought in Tandikwa. In 2001, they brought Kulembeka. In 2006, they brought Bondaba Gagare. In 2011, they brought Prosperity for All. In 2016, they brought Emioga. In 2021, they brought Operation North Question. Now, 2026 PDM. If these were really aiming to remove poverty, and they have not done, it means there's total failure in the government. Our government lacks transparency in management, and corruption is at the theme.
Thank you for your submission, sir. Let's move on to candidate Robert Juglin.
Thank you very much, dear distinguished moderators, honorable colleagues with whom I'm running for the noble responsibility of leading our nation, ladies and gentlemen present here, and those watching us from afar. I am humbled to be here contesting to lead our country, and it's great pleasure and honor to be. I am aware that we are in a nation that is at crossroads. We had independence 63 years ago, and 40 of those years have been covered by one man who has reduced our country to a failed state. Absolutely, it is clear to all and sundry that this nation, which is primarily young, has clearly made a decision, only that they have been stifled. I am aware that I will be taking over a nation where 1.5 babies are born every year, taking over a nation where almost half of the budget goes to servicing debt, ready to unite this, our country, which we've already started doing. What we've completely been missed, and it needs to start afresh. Every institution has been captured, and we intend to start again in a new Uganda where people are going to be servants, where citizens of Uganda should take over power to decide the destiny of, and they don't have power over them. But also, I had really hoped to meet General Museveni here. Is he protecting the potholes? Is he protecting the rotten hospitals? Is he protecting the broken down schools, the broken down infrastructure? Is he protecting his power and right to torture citizens? I had always wanted to hear that, not privately but publicly, from General Museveni. Anyway, it's all right that he's not here, because he's in the past and we are discussing the future of our country. So I'm very glad, and I hope to share ideas and to teach and learn from these our colleagues. But of course, I must assert it that the people of Uganda, especially the young generation, the new generation that I largely represent, is committed to changing their country and to taking back the right to determine their destiny. I am ready and committed to lead the charge to change Uganda, so help us the Almighty God.
Thank you.
And the final candidate for the evening, with your introduction and why Uganda should believe in your cause.
Thank you, dear moderators. Let me take this opportunity again to thank all Ugandan citizens who are seated in this room and those who are watching us. I'm called Gregory Mugisha Muntu Oyera. I hold the flag for Alliance for National Transformation, whose mantra is values-driven leadership. We entered this race very well knowing the state of our country. For 63 years, we've been in a vicious cycle. John Museveni being the 9th president, regime after regime, promises are made, promises are never fulfilled, and we reached a point where we believe that there must be something to see that at some point. We've been moving around the country now for about 2 months. The state of our people is quite frightening. Joblessness, the levels of joblessness of the youth, the depth of poverty that you read on the faces of the people, and even what they express. The lack of drugs in hospitals, government hospitals, and very well knowing that there are those who can't afford to go to private hospitals, which means they can't afford the bills, which means that most people just go home to die. That's been going on for quite a while. In the area of joblessness, even the few jobs which are available, not only at the national level, but even at the local government level, because I've so far gone through 74 districts. And I made it a point to ask everywhere we go whether there are transparent systems of young people getting jobs. And the response has been uniform throughout. I've not been to any district where I've got a response that you can do an interview, and when you succeed or you are the best, that you can get a job unless you know someone, unless you pay a bribe. That's quite frightening, that government jobs can be sold. So the people out there who still believe that General Museveni should continue, I've been urging them on the campaign trail that considering that state of affairs and the frightening levels of corruption in this country, we lose 10 trillion Uganda shillings. That's about 2.7 billion United States dollars every year. That they should reconsider. General Museveni should just simply be retired peacefully on 15th of January. And I've been urging them to look amongst the 7 of us and select one who can lead this country from the vicious circle in which it is, the mess at which we are, also considering the levels of the frightening levels of debt, that they look for a capable person. And I always project myself.
All right.
Because of.
Thank you so much, Mugisha Muntu. 5 candidates. We do also have 5 themes for the presidential debate. Please be reminded we are streaming across our social media platforms on Facebook as well as X as well as TikTok. So share the link with the rest of Uganda. Equally on our website www.ntv.co.ug. We are having the presidential debate live on NTV as well as Spark TV. As we start up theme number 1, youth unemployment and the jobs or the economic reset? I'm going to start with candidate Frank Wulira. Just to shape the narrative, candidate, Uganda has a very young population, as according to the UBO statistics from the population census having been conducted in 2024, more than 73% of citizens being under the age of 30, including about 14 million people aged between 15 and 30, marking about 31%. And then you look at the latest labor data also showing us that only about 37% of these young people are actually employed and working. About 16% of them are choosing or are able to stay in school, and roughly 40 to 42% are neither in employment. We cannot trust them in education, neither can we pin them in training. Youth unemployment is standing currently at 16.3% compared to the 11.7% overall. When we look to the female perspective, there the youth unemployment is also closely higher at 20%. The figures do go on, but each year about 700,000 people do enter the labor market, but only about 34% of that figure is actually absorbed in jobs. Candidate Frank Wulira, given these realities, what concrete measures beyond the national employment strategy, beyond the national development plan 4 that we're currently running as a country, will you implement in your first 3 years? 1, to raise job absorption well above 34%. 2, cut the youth NEET rate by at least 10%. And then 3, to ensure that the additional jobs being created are decent, they are formal, and are creating opportunities rather than incurring a lot of pressure on the informal sector.
Yeah, thank you so much. First of all, surely poverty is everywhere, but our case as Uganda is so worrying. Just as I said, we can speak a lot, but the biggest problem of Uganda is Mr. Museveni and the system of governance. Those are the two biggest problems, bringing about youth unemployment, growing at the fastest rate, and people losing hope in their country and in the future. As the Revolutionary People's Party, under the new federal arrangement, remember, after 15th January next year, in the next 2 weeks, Uganda will be announced as the new Federal Democratic Republic, governed under the 16 federal states, taking charge of their wealth. The Revolutionary People's Party is going to take the jobs closer to the people, where they stay. Gone are the days when everyone has to come to Kampala looking for jobs. People going to kneel before Mr. Museveni to get survival, including ministers, public servants. You have to meet Mr. Museveni in order to survive, in order for your child to be given a bursary. The federal arrangement is going to take back the jobs in the areas, the 16 proposed federal states making up Uganda. First of all, we are going to introduce the Federal Economic Empowerment Program. The Federal Economic Empowerment Program is going to replace these failed Bonabagagawales, parish development models, which are just enriching NRM cadres and RDCs, swindling taxpayers' money, the Operation Welfare Creations, just helping soldiers to build more mansions and build arcades. They are all going to be scrapped, and the Federal Economic Empowerment Program is going to look at the Ugandans in Sebei are going to be placed in the cement factories, where you even have truck drivers who are Chinese, in Kaserem, in Kapchora.
Mr. Wulira, can you name one country that's operating a federal system?
UAE, German.
Which ones of those are over just under 63 years?
God said about UAE and its background. There was a time when Uganda was far ahead of UAE. You remember that one time Idi Amin Dada gave food aid to UAE when the current president was the father of the current Sheikh Al Maktoum. He He gave UAE food aid, plus the little soil UAE has. It was taken from here. And mixed with the service to get a service. Everything is in a different is well catered for in a particular federal state or province. Provinces are competing. When Abu Dhabi builds a big skyscraper, Dubai will bring Burj Khalifa. When Al Alain does this, in the end, the country ends up developing. In Nigeria, you don't need to go to, if you are in Lagos, you are contented. You don't need to go to Abuja. You don't need to go to Kumasi. So,
Kumasi is in Ghana, but thank you. You have run out of time. Thank you, Mr. Bulira. As you can imagine, it is going to be a very heated conversation, and if I do jump in, my credentials might permit me to do that. On to the next candidate. Let's look at Mr. Joseph Mavidizi. Quick question, Mr. Mavidizi. Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration? Could you kindly switch on your mic? Are you familiar with the Malabo Declaration?
So many declaration has been done.
That is a yes or no question,
so
sir.
Which one do you mean exactly?
Malabo Declaration, Africa Union. Are you familiar with the Abuja Declaration?
Which one in particular? Because several of them, there are several which has been done.
I wouldn't want to eat into your time.
Are you talking about the climate one? Are you talking about which one are you talking about?
Okay, let's talk about agriculture. A declaration was made where 10% of revenues going through this fiscal plan when it comes to spending of any nation that is privy to the African Union spends 10% of their revenue on agriculture. As you can imagine, Uganda does not do that. That being said, what would you do in your first few months as president of Uganda to fix that?
We have a very big plan about agriculture infrastructure, where we want to encourage much of small-scale industry, where people can use simple machines in agriculture.
Like hoes?
When I talk about simple machines, I know even a hoe falls under that, but there are other machines which are not big tractors. There are those ones which are operated just with small engines. There are those ones which are operated manually. They just push them. So there are so many. So I'm not talking about only a hoe.
I'm very confused. Are we talking about combine harvesters? Are we talking John Deere? Are we talking, I'm very confused. Going back to plowing with oxen, which one is it? Give me something concrete.
They are tractors, but now I'm talking about the simple machines which use these simple engines, which are affordable. They don't consume a lot of fuel, and they are being used in Malaysia. So you can visit Malaysia, because for me that's where I saw them. So that's what I'm talking about, that once we trade that and bring it into our nation, we would have helped a lot in agriculture.
But you're addressing something different, because what this declaration say is to have 10% of your GDP.
I understand your question. Give me time to answer.
Please go ahead.
If you want me to answer your way, then it's something else.
Please proceed.
I have my way, and I can pass either way to answer you. So you want me to give the answer you have? Huh? I have my own answer. So, I told the person who contacted me that let me hope you are taking me into a debate, not something like questioning you, then you answer this, someone asks another question to take you off. So, what I was saying, there is a need to get that into that modernization agriculture, where we need to import simple machines to empower agriculture sector from the regions. And once you've empowered all the regions, having shared the power, responsibility, where the regions, they are also responsible for collecting taxes, and after collection of taxes, they only give 40% to the central government. Then 60% remains in the region. So the regional governments, they are responsible to institute and put into practice what fits their region according to agriculture. So it will be the responsibility of the regions sitting and deciding. Even what the declaration aimed
You mentioned that indeed we've been traveling all over the country. For me, this is more realistic than idealistic. These are not just statistics, these are realities. These are people, we've been there, and in every urban town we've reached. You've seen hundreds of young people that show up, that are desperate, they're strong, they're talented, they want to work, but these are young people that have been failed by a system. It should be noted that Uganda is ranked the most entrepreneurial country in Africa. However, the young people, Uganda is immensely gifted. We're going to leverage the manufacturing sector, and most importantly, the creative industry. Now, having come from the creative industry, I know the potential of the creative industry. Uganda is equally as talented as Nigeria, or even more talented. But looking at the Nigeria's creative industry, it is almost outcompeting the oil industry. In fact, they call it the new oil, because it is largely seen as even more engaging and more incorporating of young people, of the ordinary citizen, than the oil sector. Now, our plan is as follows. First, we want to empower and support the small, medium enterprises and the cottage industries. Now, for the benefit of our voters out there, cottage industries are the small scale industries, mainly in homesteads, that are majoring in production. These, we must understand, looking at the growing economies of the world, these have been the unsung heroes of these growing economies. China, India, Brazil, name it. So, looking at these examples, we think it can be a benefit in Uganda. I'm looking at areas, especially these that are near borders, like Arua, like Chisoro, like Kabale. If they are supported, they could boost even production, and they could even boost export, looking at production of textiles.
When you say supported, what does that mean?
Supported means cutting down, reducing the cost of doing business, reducing the power costs, reducing the cost of money, reducing the interest rates, investing in transport infrastructure. This would make it easier for them, and it could boost them. Also, it's important to mention that in this line, we want to boost production. In our manifesto, we presented our school feeding program, where the government is going to be feeding children at school. Now, the people that are going to be supplying these foodstuffs are going to be the ordinary citizens, and in the new Uganda, the government will work with the parent teachers associations, the PTA, to ensure that they identify not only the most vulnerable, but also the most trusted and competent suppliers, the eggs, the wheat, the rice, the flour, to feed the children. This way, we're going to be able to support even the small producers, the women, and the ordinary people out there. We believe that this is not only going to boost education, but it's going to help in youth unemployment. We also intend to modernize our skills development.
Your time is spent, but I'm going to allow you a minute. You have made recognition of manufacturing and tourism. These are high level in terms of strategic for any presidential candidate. Leaders have been describing it as Uganda's economic growth. However, there's one structural problem that still hinders both sectors right now, and that is unreliable power supply and high electricity costs. What's your solution?
Well, the high electricity costs can be renegotiated. As government, we can go as far as renegotiating with Bujagali to ensure that the power comes down, because that is what is going to help the product. As low as 3,500 shillings a day. Now, I was in Parliament in 2019 and we passed the minimum wage bill. Unfortunately, General Museveni refused to sign it. Now, we are going to reintroduce it in a new Uganda, and I will sign it because I will be president.
Thank you. Thank you for that. Let's move on to candidate Nandala Mafabi. I've been going through your manifesto, which is quite fascinating. There's something that you mentioned, cooperative-led agro-industrialization. You're familiar with that? And here you do target tea fertilizers at 30%. Explain to me how this sizzles into working on the youth unemployment problem in the country.
Thank you so much. First of all, Uganda is an agricultural country, so it's an agrarian economy. And the youth we have currently, if I give you an example, most of them are living in schools, or they have dropped out of school, but they don't have land. They cannot be able to go on the land to till it. But agriculture employs about 80% of Ugandans. Now, as a government, which should be serious government, should ensure that Ugandan citizens are employed. We're looking at skilling the youth, and we skill them in what you have. For example, we skill them in agriculture, we skill them in construction, we skill them even in ICT. Now, if you skill them in agriculture, that means you are trying to modernize agriculture. And if you're going to modernize agriculture, this youth will be employed in those sectors. I can tell you agriculture can go ahead to employ the biggest number of people. What do you do there? You produce what we call agro-processing. And if you go for agro-processing, those are industries and related industries. And when you bring agro-processing, the youth who have studied or who have not even unskilled ones, but you can skill them, will go and work in agro-processing. And that's creating jobs. And I can assure you the biggest contribution now where we can create jobs currently is in agro-processing, in the agriculture. And Uganda has an advantage, as I said, God has given us the best weather. You can grow anything. Now, for example, here we used to have 4 cash crops, and the cash crop meant where we used to get cash. That was coffee, cotton, tea, and tobacco. And the cotton you are raising, it is called, the cotton is called white gold. Now, what has happened? You talked about tea. The tea is called magnetic money. Now, the tea, you see, right now as we speak, the soils which have been growing tea have been taken to do other things. But why we're talking about fertilizers, you need to do that land to grow more tea. And currently, even the tea which they are growing, there's a lot of debt which they have not paid farmers. And the farmers are getting discouraged. A good government should not make farmers get discouraged. What should be there should be a mechanism whereby if there's overproduction, you have stores, that is called silos. You must be the one, be the catalyst leading the marketing processes. You must be the one even trying to call incubator industries, whereby you can create an industry and hand over. I'll give an example. I did in Fiel. Total Uganda, which was, I think, an international policy, they came with a policy of saying younger dealers. What they did, they would give a young man or young lady a petrol station to run, but they would give him fuel to run that petrol station. They would be deducting the margins, but leaving him or some money. Give him a period of about 3 years. They say you must exit, so that they bring another new dealer. And the purpose was to train them how to manage business. Many of them got out and have built their own petrol station. They're up there. If government of Uganda did the same, to do incubation like that, whereby we pattern, even with the private sector. Another example I can give in the next way. If a company employs disabled people, it gets the tax deductions from all this tax. If government of Uganda wants the youth to be employed, they will be employed. How? You go and say you employ this youth in agriculture, you will have the following. 1, tax exemption or reduced tax. 2, you will be given some facilities because the youth will be working and earning a living. The tax deduction and what you are giving is creating the young man or young lady to be employed. I can tell you, agriculture is one of the places we should invest more money, whereby we can have our youth employed. You talked about.
I know you're running out of time. I just want you to touch on this, right? Having worked for the World Bank, Rwanda does a very good job in Nyungwe with the tea processing. How would you use that example to address that? I just want you to help us on that. That's actually a positive, because I'm listening to a lot of sense here.
Come again?
Rwanda is growing a lot of tea in their Nyungwe plantations, and you, having worked in the World Bank, I know you use a lot of case studies. How would you use some of their examples with your experience to make the tea plantations better here?
Are you aware the Rwanda copied our proposal, which was made by Uganda?
This is why I want
So
you
I'm trying to say that what Uganda is very good at writing proposals, but not good at implementing them. I am trying to tell you that this what I'm raising can be done. Tea can generate money, tea can generate jobs. Because I'm saying that when we, first of all, the tea farmers will get money. The processors will get money. The transporters will get money. What I'm trying to say that if our target is to invest in tea, which we are putting in our manifesto, those tea growing areas will be we have talked about subsidizing fertilizers, putting, you see factories, when you're trying to do a factory, you lead. Because a person going to the bank to borrow money is more expensive. But the government can put a factory and hand it over and tell these people after a particular time, you will have paid the factory for and go away. Currently in our country, I will give an example. There's a gentleman who was involved in the tea industry. What he did, he even borrowed money from a money lender. You know Uganda now is being led by money lenders. What happened, the cost became high. He took my minutes. Please.
Kind of, yeah.
He took my minutes. Listen to me. So, when he could not pay, of course, there was a lot of loss. Our country has been done in such a way that cost of capital is too high. And because even the reason why cost of capital is high is because of government. The biggest borrower is government. So it crowds private credit. And so when someone goes to the commercial bank to borrow, they will say no money, or they give you at an expense, maybe with more conditions. Now what I'm trying to say, in the tea sector, if me become the president, I will tell you that it will be a deliberate effort to put industries, to put processes, so that credit, which should have been somebody going there, will be given by government beyond leading it, so that we create jobs in that sector. Fertilizers will be given on subsidies. And I can assure you the tea sector is the best now, because initially we had 4 of them, 4 ranking in. Tea can even overtake coffee. But of course coffee is still high. In the current situation now, it is coffee followed by tea. Now we're getting a lot of money from tea, but also the marketing process are being driven wrongly. Government should lead in this process. I can assure you, I believe tea will create jobs and will make our youth be employed.
All right, thank you so much. Staying matters agriculture, our national anthem does pride in our agriculture backbone, good climate and fertile soils. Gregory Mugisha Muntu, many households are remaining in the subsistence economy right now as we speak, mostly in subsistence agriculture. You do have the standing current government prioritizing agro-industrialization, manufacturing with the incumbent, ensuring that there's a spread out of business and investment parks across the country. But there's also the element of tourism, construction, trade that are low-hanging fruits. Oil and gas, we've been promised that next year it should be bearing us some fruits. There's also works and transport. All these to acknowledge that there's a high failure rate of youth-owned businesses without systematic support in those particular sectors. How do you intend to actually ensure that there's policies, that there's public investment, that there's procurement that is geared towards ensuring that the young people's uptake into these sectors is one that will help them leapfrog from the statistics we know of?
The measure of development of any country must be reflected in the development of the people first and foremost. In Uganda, where 70% of the population is in agriculture, fisheries and crop as well as the dairy industry, you have to focus to lift those people from the levels at which they are. And one of the things which is absolutely sad right now is that there was a total breakdown of extension services, and also credit is very expensive. Other than PDM, which is touted all over the place, which is only 1 million, it cannot help farmers who want to invest. One, raising money for quality seeds, buying fertilizer in areas where you find that soils have got depleted, and then buying pesticides for spraying of crops, and also the use of machinery, either tractors or ox plows, that requires capital. And most of these peasants don't have access to capital, and our cooperative unions were literally broken down. It is very amazing that there is actually one fund. It is small, it's not big, the Agricultural Credit Facility, which is given by Bank of Uganda through commercial banks. In the 74 districts where I've gone, I have asked in about 8. It's only in one district of Nwaya where only 2 people raised their hands who were aware of such existence of such a fund. Now you can imagine, this is an agricultural country. There is a regime which touts PDM, which is on 1 million. And yet the fund which could have helped those who are in agriculture would go into agro-processing. People are not aware of it at all. And it's at 12% per year. Farmers cannot survive on borrowing from commercial banks or borrowing from SACCOs at 30%, 35% and above. It simply can't happen. And therefore we propose to increase agricultural credit and expand it and sensitize people, and also ensure that we either direct or working with the private sector to establish tractor hire services in areas where they still have large chunks of land. That is only in Lango, Acholi, Teso, where you find peasants who still have, or subsistence farmers who still have about 10, 15, 20 acres. Now the other areas where people are still on about 1 acre, 2 acres, that's a totally different approach that will be used. And there also needs to be cheap credit in terms of low interest rate, long-term repayment period for agro-processing. Because agro-processing, once you establish industries successfully and expand them, they become a market for those who are in subsistence farming. And also in the area of tourism, low-hanging fruit. But Uganda is one of the countries in the region which doesn't advertise Uganda or market Uganda. I think the countries which aggressively market the countries is Tanzania, Kenya, and Rwanda. Uganda has entries about 1.2 million tourists who come in. Kenya, Tanzania has about 2.5. If Uganda was able to advertise itself, considering the beauty of this country and so many opportunities that there are in terms of tourism, and increase that rate from 1.2 to possibly about 5 million people, the employment and the levels of opportunity that there would be, those who would be expanding the beds in the country, those who would invest into cottage industries, because that would also be a market for agriculture and those who are agro-processing. If you get like 4 million tourists coming into this country, it would create market for those, someone who is producing yogurt, someone who is growing carrots and cabbages, someone who is packing rice, someone who is all nature of things. Uganda has not, I think they are sleeping on the job when it comes to tourism in that regard, this regime. It would be our intention to ensure that we fully exploit the area of tourism, because it's not called a low-hanging fruit for nothing, because investment doesn't take a long time. Marketing itself, once you have skilled advertising, Ugandans, there are so many Ugandans who are skilled in marketing, we can increase the tourist entries significantly in a 5 years' time, and it will be a very big area for employment of the youth.
In your ANT manifesto 2026-2031, you are also very big about monitoring and evaluation of the manifesto you would have put out should you become president come 2026. What would be the indicators of success for the things that you have mentioned, particularly increasing the agriculture credit and also creating markets beyond our borders?
One of the things that we really want to target and aggressively pursue is the area of corruption. We consider it as public enemy number one, because we lose 10 trillion Uganda shillings. That's about 2.7 billion United States dollars. And if you tackle first and foremost grand corruption, you know, where there are contracts for roads, contracts for water, contracts for energy facilities, where there are hundreds of millions of dollars which are lost. and you crack down, because we in our own party, we believe that if we dedicate effort, in a span of 2, 3, 4, 5 years, you can reduce the loss through corruption of 2.5 billion. You can save about 70–80% of that. Because we are not even one single mineral. When they invested in education, high quality education, skilling their labor force, and of course with good political management of those systems in such countries, some of them have developed. Example we keep giving is Japan. Now consider here, if you invest in good education, invest in having a healthy workforce, and also invest in agriculture, having food security, and also having citizens who are well fed. When you have those, plus the mineral potential which we have and good political management, the sky is the limit for this country.
And the sky is the limit for your time. Thank you so much, Gregory Mugisha Muntu. We're going to take a short break. As we do so, please be reminded the use of force and the such that is happening, basically what we have been seeing in the most recent days as far as security and stability is concerned. We also do have Waha on X when he says, when the economy is stable, security will have the funds for defense, education will be funded, infrastructures will be built, and the health will have enough drug supply, meaning the well-being of the citizens, boosting the growth of all sectors. At the end of the day, he believes that economy is the key for him. Thank you so much for your voices. Keep them coming. We take a short breather. We return shortly.
Inagafumba you got global oinacheweta kamukatale tofayo you got global if you're having a celebration you got global you can order what you want you can get what you need you got global you got it all you got global download the app order with Global track it minute by minute until you receive it in minutes.
Your voice counts and matters. As we move toward the 2026 general elections, let's remember that peace, respect, and civic responsibility are the foundations of a strong democracy. The Uganda National NGO Forum encourages every citizen to stay informed and participate peacefully in all community and national processes. When we work together as a people, we can shape our destiny and build a peaceful and prosperous Uganda with happy people. This message is brought to you by the Uganda National NGO Forum, empowering citizens, strengthening democracy.
In 2024, Uganda recorded 37,000 new HIV infections and 20,000 AIDS-related deaths, a situation that calls for collective efforts if the country is to achieve its target of ending AIDS by 2030.
Infecting, somebody infecting another person. So there's no way you can say men cannot be infected, only women can be infected. So from the simple fact that people can infect one another, there's no logic in saying that only women should test. It should be everybody. It's just logical.
Together, we can end AIDS in Uganda. Every second counts. Let's act now. This message is brought to you by Uganda AIDS Commission, Office of the President.
omukisa gukuno gwa kibunomu anti-spactive ng'ejaguza emyaka 10 nga tuli wamu ne Park and Go tugenda kutwala abantu abanewangulira omukisa guno e Mombasa, Kenya bawummule bubanyumirwe nga buli kimu kisasuliddwa tugenda ku spactive ng'eweza emyaka 10 okuwangulira olugendo luno sasula 2,000 ng'okozesa MTN Momo ku merchant code emu 49 noti 83 oba ku Airtel Money ng'okozesa merchant code emu 66 noti teekamu Mombasa nga referensi yo buli wasasula 2,000 ezo n'emikisa gyo gyeyongera egy'okuwangula kuba baweetabye mu kalulu twende Mombasa with Park and Go Tours and Travel.
Ng'erungamizibwa National Lotteries and Gaming Regulatory Board. Amateeka n'obukwakkulizo bigobererwa.
Beautiful, soft care pads. So fit, so right. Everyone knows me as Zari, boss lady. Often people wonder how I take good care of my baby. There's only one answer. Soft care. I trust Soft Care. It leaves her comfortable, keeps her happy and free all day. Soft Care is made from natural cotton, newly developed
peacefully in all community and national processes. When we work together as a people, we can shape our destiny and build a peaceful and prosperous Uganda with happy people. This message is brought to you by the Uganda National NGO Forum.
People wonder how I take good care. There's only one answer. Soft Care. It leaves her comfortable and Soft Care magic tapes and elastic wheel at all times.
Over 80 has been sold in over 10 countries.
Join our big family of software.
So many shades of excitement. Excitement vibe.
Guinness Smooth. Now with a daring new look. As bold and vibrant as you. Guinness Smooth. Make it yours.
bulijjo okusobola okutuusaako ebifudde gy'otobadde kitwetaagisa okwetegeka okw'enjawulo
nga kulimu n'okwewunda tujja okusimbula nga ddala weewaawo abasasi baffe tetubava ku lusegere nga wamma twetegereza ebyo bye basase
tusobole okubikutuusaako nga ddala naffe tusoose kubikubaganyaako birowoozo
bwe tuba tweteekateeka tufuba naffe ng'abaga kusomera okwongera okwogiwaza obwongo bwaffe
nga tuyita mu kwongera okunoonyereza ku ebyo abasasi baffe bye baleese obifune nga tetukyabirinako yadde akabuuza oba akakunkuna
nga tukozesa tekinologiya omujja n'abakugu okunyumisa ekyo kye tukola
okuva ku bbalaza okutuuka olwokuna tuba naawe mu NTV akawungeezi
olw'okuva olwokutaano okutuuka ku Sande NTV ku ssaawa emu n'ekwata busoomo okulambika
Uganda eyogera nga amaloboozi g'ebyobufuzi gasaanikidde buli wamu omulimu gwaffe gwa kuwuliriza n'okusengejja n'obwegendereza
amazima gwe musingi ogutuwaniridde buli kyogerwa tukyekenneenya buli muwendo tusooka kuguwewula okuggyayo amakulu gaagwo
okusukka kw'ebyo byogerwa mu campaign tugenda kubatalaga ebitundu eby'enjawulo nga twekenneenya oba nga ddala enteekateeka za gavumenti zikyusa engeri abantu gye balondamu n'okutuukiriza ebyetaago by'ebitundu ebyo nga twolekera akalulu ka 2026
buli katikiti kankizo buli bibalibwa bya nsonga awo weweesigira omusasi waffe asukka waakoma
ebifo ebironderwamu nga bigaddwa obululu nga bubaliddwa tusigala nga ffe emmeeza eyeesigika okutuusaako ebyo ebitali mu kuteebereza
olwo ne tukuwa amawulire nga bwe gabadde obutuufu bwago
okumanya kwo n'okutegeera kwo kye kiruubirirwa kyaffe
NTV News, the full story, the trusted voice, and uncompromised.
Welcome to NTV Travels, the ultimate travel destination for new and exciting destinations around Uganda, the Pearl of Africa.
I feel like I am on the Titanic right now.
A country that is blessed with amazing fauna and flora.
We are on our way. To the day game drive. My team has been awake for some time.
We are taking over Queen Elizabeth National Park. So heavy! Explore the vibrant culture of bustling cities.
Bambarara Murimuta. We are on our way to Rubirizi district. We are in Ibanda district. Shout out to my lovely hometown Soroti. I am in Jinja currently with my entire team. We are here to conquer every part of Uganda. We finally made it to Lake Nkugute.
Explore an abundance of world-class hospitality.
This lovely gentleman.
Discover the breathtaking beauty of mountain ranges and walls that tell stories.
You have to take off your shoes since it is some sort of temple.
And relax in the serenity of tropical beaches. We provide you with the ultimate travel experience that will stay with you.
We are going ziplining.
And if you are lucky, it will stay with you forever.
You can only imagine. This is my first encounter with the Batwa people.
So we are about to make some fire out.
Today is the day the presidential debate 2026 does continue on. The rest for the State House of the Republic of Uganda, our 5 candidates having been resettled. Now we move on to the next critical theme of the night: security, governance, and justice. Arnold?
Thank you, Priscilla. Let's start with the candidate Bulira. I like that you brought in the UAE, arguably one of the safest countries in the world. Let's look at some statistics. The Uganda Bureau of Statistics, the data does show that 61% of Ugandans feel safe walking alone. Only 61%. This is from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. With such data, what would you implement to make sure that Ugandans feel safe and ultimately attract foreign direct investment to the country? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. Security is so important. It is so important that it can bring down a country. Insecurity can bring down a country within just 1 week. Under our new federal arrangement, we are going to put emphasis on building a more professional army. Professionalism in the security and military forces will curb the useless arrests. Having a decent and presentable army plus police and intelligence, and at the end the country will be moving forward with other democracies. As the Revolutionary People's Party, we are looking at having a police and intelligence services that don't persecute or torture citizens, but rather help in building the country and bringing about sanity and following the Constitution of the Republic of Uganda. We are looking at strengthening community policing and improving the welfare plus training of our police force. In fact, the RPP is going to change the name of Uganda Police Force to Uganda Police Services. Police, it is supposed to be a service, like in other countries. It is not to be, we are going to demilitarize the police force. The police force, make it a police service just as it is in Zambia and other countries. Police is going to be a service, not a force. Mr. Museveni did it deliberately to call it a force and keep it calling it a force so that it can be used to cause brutality to innocent Ugandans. So we are going to change the name Uganda Police Force to Uganda Police Services. Then, I'm sorry, I'm not using a lot of English. The English, too much English will come after swearing in. Right now, I know the people we are communicating with. The Wananchi, I want to speak and so that with the Wananchi, I'm going to lead well, understand what I'm saying and what their country should be in the next 5 years. So I'm limiting the too much English. It won't help us. Right now, we want to remove Mr. Museveni, bring back sanity in Uganda. The rest will come. So the Revolutionary People's Party is looking at having a force that will be focusing on internal security mostly. We shall not deploy our military forces out of Uganda on useless battles. Our sons and daughters have died in Somalia, South Sudan, in useless battles. Yet they are supposed to protect Ugandans. Just as you've said, Mr. Segawa, people are not safe. Mr. Museveni went to the bush to bring about sanity and safety in this country. But people are not safe. There is no safety at all. Insecurity is added on the tortures, on the brutality, and the country totally just needs a change. The Revolutionary People's Party is also looking at motivating the police forces. At least
as well as the UPDF. We have also seen incidences where the UPDF has captured some people, taken them to the basement, a duty and responsibility that falls primarily under law and order, which should be the mandate of the Uganda police. So we see a breakdown in the system and the dissemination of peace and security in our country. If you were to be elected president, how would you reinstate the rightful order? What's the rightful order anyway to begin with?
You cannot effectively deal with the security problem of the country unless you deal with the political question first. Because the army, the police, intelligence service forces are involved in unlawful activities because of the wrong orders they get, which are rooted in politics, because the top just wants to hang on to power. There are many officers and men in all those forces who love the country as much as we love it, who are well educated, who are well trained. So once there is a conducive political environment that is deliberately created, they can professionalize all those forces. That's one aspect of security, or the cause of insecurity. There's also another aspect that causes insecurity in this country. You can't have security unless you eliminate poverty. There are many places where we are going, through the villages. People are staying with animals in their homes. Because if the animals are outside the homestead or outside the house, they stay with animals inside the houses. If they stay out, because of the desperation of the people, they steal those animals. Now, when there's that nature of insecurity, even if you have 500,000 police officers on the beat, you are not going to control people who are desperate, who need something to eat. And therefore, the only way you can tackle that form of insecurity is to invest in the lifting of people from the levels of poverty where they are and ensure that they have got the means to cater for themselves and their families. Two, issues of justice. I hear those in the regime normally talking about peace, talking about stability. Peace is not the absence of conflict, it's the presence of justice. So justice and stability and security are more or less interrelated. Now, if you use the army, police services, and intelligence services in a state where there is no justice, yes, you can clamp down on people, but know that you are creating conditions for an ultimate situation where there will be an explosion. Basically, it will be sitting on a time bomb. And we have seen countries which have effectively done that, clamp down on people because of the police and intelligence services maintaining control over the grievances of people. But normally it is an explosion. That's not a direction we should be moving towards. And therefore, under our government, one would want to deal first and foremost to ensure that there is a leadership that follows the law, the Constitution and the law, because that's also a form of security for those who are in power and also those who may not be in power. But once there's that realization in those who are in power that you must operate under the law, then it secures you in the sense that you don't even fear to leave power. Because when you leave power, when you have been operating under the law, you know that you are in the clear. You are not going to be harassed by anybody in terms of reprisals. So to us in Alliance for National Transformation, that's key. As they say, a fish rose from the head. You must have a head up there that is able to understand the dynamics of governance, the dynamics of security, the dynamics of creating an environment in which the best Ugandans who are in those forces, like in the army, there are many Ugandans out there really who do the best that they can, but because of wrong political orders, they are exposed to doing wrong. It's unfortunate, it is sad, but I would like to believe that we are almost seeing the tail end of that kind of situation in our country.
Okay, they always say the fish rots from the head.
Yeah.
Let's borrow an example from our neighbors in Kenya. In 2010, they decided to change their constitution. One of the things that they were trying to remedy was the reduced presidential powers and also introducing stronger checks and balances towards governance and democracy. If we were to elect you as president on the 15th of January, how would you treat the current standing constitution as it is and the powers that it gives you as president on the day that you are inaugurated?
One of the things that we want to ensure that is processed and re-established within the Constitution is the question of term limits. However, constitutions alone are not the issue, because we have had many countries where there have been the best constitutions, but they're always overridden. Why? Because of the culture. That's why we keep concentrating on ensuring that we get the men and women who not only talk about these issues of governance that we talk about. The Americans say talk is cheap. Any of us can say about the things that we say. Culture, to change culture, you must get people who are in leadership who are acting out of conviction. If you don't get people who are operating out of conviction, I mean, who can't market oneself? We've seen that happen in the last 63 years. That's why our focus is beyond removing what we don't want. We must focus on doing that we want. That's why we focus all the time in Alliance for National Transformation. Because we've seen regime after regime leaving power and we remain in the same vicious cycle. There are many Ugandans, every sub-region, every religious group, really who care about people, who care about the country. So if you have men and women in a team at the national level, I operate in teams. If it's the will of God and the Ugandan people trust me with power, I operate in teams. If a thing we do is get the men and women in all those areas, every ethnic group, every sub-region, every religious group, to ensure that the best are at the core of the management of this country. And then you change the culture.
All right, your time is fast spent. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Candidate Kyagulanyi, you've heard, I want to ask you a quick question, yes or no? Then I'll ask you my next question. You've had retired General Muntu say he works in teams. If you were inaugurated on the day, would you be happy to work with anyone on that podium?
Yes.
Okay. My question is, given that 14 to 17 Ugandans still pay bribes, over 88% see corruption as a concern, tell me, what do you see yourself doing to change our corruption perception index where we sit at 35? I mean, it's terrible.
Please ask the question again.
So, right now, the statistics do show that 14% to 17% of Ugandans pay bribes, and 88% of those see corruption as a concern in the country. What would you do to improve Uganda's corruption perception index, which is terrible?
Thank you very much. You see, before we find a solution, it's very important for us to analyze the problem. I think it all begins and ends with leadership, and Mildred mentioned it a few moments ago, that the fish rots right from the head. It all goes back to governance. It all goes back to the political will to fight freedom. As we stand right now, the Inspector General of Government, the IGG, Mulyagonja, mentioned some time ago that the big fish in corruption are always pursued and they hide behind the president. We are in a country where the head of state is the chief priest of corruption. You have seen scandal after scandal, and all the culprits of corruption are protected by the head of state. You saw Anita Among, the current Speaker of Parliament, sanctioned internationally because of corruption, but being protected by the head of state. Just a few days ago, a person that the court actually said had a case to answer on corruption, a minister called Lugorobi, he was cleared. Meanwhile, on the same day, other people were being arrested. There was allegations around Parliament, allegations of corruption, and the leader of opposition, who happens to be in presence today, wrote to the IGG to investigate those cases, and the IGG went mute. You have We've demonstrated that, and we will ensure that anybody that puts their hand in public money, the hand will not come out there, but the neck will go there as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Robert Chagulanyi. Nandala Mafabi, if you were to become president, how will you change what Mugisha Moto referred to as the culture? So there's the command culture that we're seeing right now. There's the oversight of security forces. And in the most recent days, as has been pretty much the last 3 electoral cycles, we have seen infringement on rights and freedoms and a fair play ground for all the 8 countries in the race. Right now you are 8. You've been able to see what has happened to Mwami neighbor Robert Chagulanyi Ssentamu there as he was traversing areas of Mukono, Kayunga, the tear gas, and some people as we speak are not here with us today simply because of that. If there were some people in your government that were not happy with how you were doing things, how would you deal with them?
First, to begin with, security is a cost. Currently, the budget of the current government, security is 9.7 trillion. 9.7 trillion. Instead of creating jobs or investing money in what? Security. And purposely to protect an individual. If you went now on the street, the security you'll get there is not of a gun. You'll get an security of somebody wanting to find something to eat. And that's why we're saying, first and foremost, to deal with the insecurity, you look at 3 things: the poverty, the inequality, and injustice. If people have what to eat, they will not be on the street. There will be less cost in security to police them. If there are inequalities, people will want to have equality. And as a government, you should ensure there is quality. Even our constitution is very clear. A country must be developed equally, where those who are less developed are given a special consideration. And this also brings a problem. Injustice. You treat others differently. Others who don't obey the law is very dangerous. So what will happen? A good government should follow the rule of the law. And the rule of the law means everybody is equal before the what? The law. Currently, let me go ahead a bit, then I come back to the security. Currently, we are getting political judgments. Political judgments. Not getting judgments following real justice. And the first place where people should be dealt with is judiciary. Now, in Uganda, the head of state is the same as the head of government. And you know, government of Uganda to maintain law and order, it wouldn't be the one to fight the citizens. And that's what we're saying. The police should be a professional police. That applies to the army. The army should be the army which is a professional army, not an army which comes to terrorize citizens.
Okay, allow me to interrupt. On that note, if you were to take over power, there's already a backlog in our prisons right now. 89% of citizens are aware of their right to seek justice, but only 17% are able to claim this justice and claim it in time, with only 15% knowing about the free legal aid in their sub-county levels. What are the top 3 justice sector reforms you would actually prioritize in order to deal with the backlog, especially for political prisoners and disposal of targets, ensuring that there's fairness and justice is delivered in real time?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, judiciary. You know, the judiciary does not function. If it is functioning, there are cases in those courts which are more than 20 years old, not decided. Now, those are both commercial cases and political cases. Now, political cases are basically for purpose of making a sitting government to infringe on the rights of individuals. So that's why the human rights organization, the Human Rights Commission, should be one of those enforcing this. The most important is to give capacity to Human Rights Commission, give it capacity, give it resources, and be able to investigate human rights abuses. Number two, political prisoners, if you are in contestation of politics, it should also be decided in politics. There's no need to take your colleague in prison. If it is now like an election, allow him contest. Don't curtail anybody's rights. Three, access to justice. Of course, many people don't know their rights. And because even the access to justice sometimes is very expensive. Let me give an example. You go and get my mother deep in the village in the mountains, who will not know her rights. To go to court, you move maybe, say, 50 kilometers. What time will you reach court?
You have mentioned the cost of justice. What strategies would you deploy to reduce the cost of justice?
First of all, employ professional judges. You should not employ cadres. You should employ people who know their work. Number two, you should ensure that there's public awareness. Where there is no one able to get justice, let's say getting a lawyer, the state should be able to provide remedies and make sure the person is represented. Three, there must be civic education. The civic education must be on radios every day, telling people that should you have this is what you should follow. This is where you should go. But here already was only talking about elections and PDM, what is not useful for now. This is very important, and that is a deliberate effort. You must invest in it. And of course, there must be also audit of judgments. The Judicial Service Commission, which is the one in charge of it, should audit these judgments to confirm if the judge was right or not. Because when I meet a judge, I'm meaning even the magistrate grade 1, grade 2, grade 3 going upside. So we will need that. Also the other one is we employ people whom have not even investigated, audited. In Kenya they did it well. Before somebody is appointed, the public talks about them. Some of these people we employ are criminals, and they are the ones dealing with this. Some of them are merchants. So these are the things we should deal with. The public should come out, be public hearing before somebody is employed in the judiciary.
Thank you for that. Mr. Mabirizi, there's an act in a certain country called the Pose Comitatus Act, and it basically prohibits the army from operating domestically. From your approach of regionalism, how would you fix the Ugandan army? As we've heard, reports now saying that they will be responsible for protecting the vote after it's been cast, which is domestic approach usage. How would your regional approach address this?
Thank you so much, Mr. Moderator. First of all, I want to arrest your fears. I'm going to start from the other end. it comes to regional governments, we are the CP, we are the architecture, the champion of federal. So we are talking about federalism, the tangible one, which can work to solve all the problems of Uganda. So in a regional government, where I've already told you that there is share of power, so the recruitment of soldiers, the policemen and so forth, it depends on the population of the region or per region. Not only that, but in every region, because it is in the set of a federal government, in every region they have got judiciary department. In that small government, if in courts call them small governments, they have a department which concerns with security. They have people who are responsible. They have ministers who can carry out different work in different departments. So with such a setting, you would have waved away or dealt away with only one man having all power on everything. So when you do that, the regional governments cater for their security because they are independent in their setting. These are federal governments, so they cater for their security, though they do work with the central government because it's a shared responsibility. It's a shared way of handling and working or promoting security in a nation. So once you have instituted regional governments, you will not have any problem with security. And when we talk about security, security starts with the citizens, getting to know who is my neighbor. So once the setting is in regional government, whoever enters that region, at least people get to know each one has got to know his neighbor. Once there is any visitor who comes, so they get to know that so and so has come in. So with that, and having put judicial courts in all those regions, secured jobs for people, people have shared